Hello everyone, today's story pot will introduce a historical novel featuring a strong, dual-face female lead, the Crown Prince's Consort. Synopsis. I was harshly raised by my adoptive father for 17 years on the frontier. Yet in the capital, rumors claimed I had been brought up as a delicate young lady in Jiangnan. For 17 years, I was said to be proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and to possess beauty capable of toppling a nation. With such a reputation, I was married off. My father instructed me that no matter what, I must maintain the facade flawlessly and reveal no flaws. Fortunately, my husband was as cold as ice and paid me no attention. He even showed clear distaste whenever he saw me. Later, I heard it was because the woman he loved had died, leaving him in constant sorrow. I didn't care. Until one day, I accidentally entered his secret chamber and discovered it filled with portraits of me. They depicted me as the masked Zhaohua general, and that identity was one I had already died with when I left the frontier. Your Highness, the Crown Prince is waiting for you in the study. I nodded gently, lifting my skirt slightly as I took small, measured steps toward the study. Xiao Hanlin had never taken the initiative to seek me out. Even when we crossed paths in the residence, he would only frown faintly. But today felt different. Could it be that he had finally reached his limit and wanted a divorce? Suppressing my excitement, I maintained a gentle, composed smile. A group of maids passed by, carrying newly purchased vases to the back garden. Upon seeing me, they respectfully stepped aside. One maid, her view blocked by a tall vase, failed to notice the step beneath her feet and stumbled forward. My gaze sharpened instantly. I reached out, caught her by the waist, and steadied her. The maid, still shaken, quickly thanked and apologized to me. I smiled faintly and continued on my way. She couldn't help but glance back, murmuring, "Strange, how is the Crown Princess suddenly so strong?" Another maid laughed. "You must be seeing things. Our Crown Princess is a proper noble lady. I heard she was raised in Jiangnan for 17 years, delicate as a willow in the wind, and excels in the 4 arts." My hearing was sharp. I caught every word. I couldn't help but curl my lips in a faint smile. Wrong. I was not raised in Jiangnan. For 17 years, I lived on the frontier, riding with soldiers, sleeping under the open sky, or crossing mountains and rivers, braving wind and frost. How could that be called being raised? As for why I married into the Zhennan Marquis' residence and became this ornamental crown princess, it's a long story. I still remember the look in my father's eyes when I returned from leading a squad to eliminate the remnants of the Tubo army. Pride, satisfaction, as if a burden had finally been lifted. I thought my achievements had moved him. But when he pulled me into the tent, the first thing he said was, "Shiji, return to the capital. I've arranged a good marriage for you." It struck me like a bolt from the blue. I forced a smile. "Father, have you lost your mind?" "I have not." He took my hands, looking at the scars covering them. "The Tubo Khan has sent envoys to surrender. They will not invade Great Qi for at least 10 years. But our treasury is empty. We cannot continue the war. His Majesty has decided to accept their surrender." He looked at me, wrinkles gathering at the corners of his eyes. "Shiji, do you remember what you promised me when you begged to join the army to avenge your mother?" Of course I remembered. I had knelt before him, begging to fight as a woman on the battlefield. In return, I promised that once Tubo was driven out, I would return and live as a proper daughter, obeying all his arrangements. I never expected that day to come so quickly. After a long silence, my father handed me an imperial edict. "His Majesty appreciates your merits and wishes to summon you back to the capital for reward. He also intends to bestow a marriage between you and the heir of the Zhennan Marquis." "Shiji, be obedient. I'm old." I may not be able to protect you much longer. Only if you live peacefully in the capital can I rest easy. At that point, what right did I have to refuse? Marriage meant little to me. Everything I endured was for him. On the day I left the frontier, I turned back to look at the blazing sunset on the horizon. The vivid landscape would no longer be mine. The capital was indeed prosperous. Graceful ladies, handsome gentlemen, dazzling luxury everywhere. Only after arriving did I learn that people believed I had always been raised in Jiangnan, skilled in the arts, gentle and refined. I stormed into my father's study. "You spread those rumors?" He scratched his nose awkwardly. "A bit of vanity. Who wouldn't want their daughter praise?" And just like that, he threw me into a mess. No wonder the emperor suddenly remembered to betroth me to Xiao Hanlin, the most charming young noble in the capital. For months before my wedding, I practiced the arts by day and cultivated composure by night. After breaking 10 zithers and overturning 2 chessboards, I finally achieved something passable. My father even obtained a medicinal formula to erase the scars from my body. "Never let anyone discover your identity," he warned. "If exposed, it would be deception of the emperor. And the capital is filled with Tubo spies. If they learn you are the Zhaohua general, they will target you." I had no expectations for married life. The only fortunate thing was that my husband clearly disliked me. He frowned at my frailty, frowned when I pricked my finger while embroidering, frowned when I played the zither under moonlight, and he never once relaxed his brow when looking at me. I didn't care. Better if he stayed away. Better if we never interfered with each other. But at a banquet, his cousin Mu Junju mocked me. "You got Hanlin Gege, feeling proud? You only entered this household thanks to your father's military merits." I quickly understood unrequited love. I wasn't one to endure insults. "Are you blaming your own father for not risking his life to earn you such merit?" I replied. She raged, but I simply left. Later, I learned Xiao Hanlin had once loved a woman who had died, so that was why he always looked like a walking corpse. Pitiful. I thought my days in the residence would remain dull, until one night when a thief broke in. I chased him and stumbled into Xiao Hanlin's secret chamber. Inside were countless portraits of me, of the Zhaohua general. My heart froze. He was investigating me. No, more precisely, my former identity. If he discovered the truth, my father would be guilty of deceiving the emperor. Neither of us would survive. I lay awake all night. I had to leave. The only way was divorce, and it had to be his idea. So I began to act. If he disliked a gentle wife, I would be unbearable. I tormented the servants, wasted food, destroyed his beloved pear blossoms. Finally, he summoned me. A divorce letter lay on the table. Perfect, but before he could finish speaking, assassins burst in. He was no match. I could have let him die, but they were Tubo assassins, and I hated Tubo more than anything, so I fought. Within moments, they were all subdued. When the guards arrived, I shrank into a corner, trembling. Xiao Hanlin sat there, but stunned. Later, I picked up the divorce letter, pressed my fingerprint onto it, and smiled. "Your turn, Your Highness." He stared at me, then suddenly crumpled the letter and ate it. "I've never intended to divorce you." Shameless. From then on, he began testing me, dropping teacups, observing my reactions, even trying to sleep in my room. But when I undressed in front of him, he fled. Coward. 3 days later, the Marquis returned. I deliberately appeared pale and frail. The Marquis scolded Xiao Hanlin and punished him. Serves him right. Soon after, news came that my father was ill. When I returned home, he revealed the truth. He suspected the Zhao family of colluding with Tubo, and he wanted me to investigate. That night, I infiltrated Xiao Hanlin's study again. This time, I found a hidden chamber. Inside, Xiao Hanlin and his father were speaking with a man, Ba Shitu, the son of the Tubo Khan. My heart pounded. So it was true. They were conspiring. Then another man appeared. I recognized him instantly, one of the assassins I had defeated, a Tubo agent serving Xiao Hanlin. I had been fooled. My entire family had been fooled. That night, Xiao Hanlin came to my room. He stood by my bed, watching me silently. Then, gently, he tucked me in and left. I did not sleep at all. The next day was the flower viewing banquet. As I stepped out, dressed in elaborate attire, Xiao Hanlin stared at me in a daze. "Shall we go?" I asked. He averted his gaze and led me to the carriage. At the palace gates, carriages lined up endlessly. Among them, I spotted his cousin, Xia Wanner. She looked at my hands. Xiao Hanlin's grip tightened, and his expression darkened instantly. At the flower viewing banquet, men and women were seated separately. A palace maid led me to another area. Many noble ladies came over to exchange pleasantries, and I responded to each of them in turn. These kinds of royal banquets were truly dull. Not far away, a palace maid carrying a gushin was suddenly called over by Ha Van Ni. "Whose zither is that?" The maid lowered her head. "Your Highness, the imperial consort has summoned a musician to entertain. The instrument belongs to that musician." A glint flashed in Ha Van Ni's eyes as she glanced at me. I understood immediately. She was plotting something. I intended to make an excuse and leave, but she spoke first. "Why bother with the musician? The crown princess consort is said to have exceptional skill with the gushin. As I've always wanted to hear it. Opportunities like this are rare. Surely everyone would like to listen." The crowd immediately agreed. My reputation had spread far and wide, but no one had ever truly seen or heard my abilities, so curiosity surged. More and more people gathered. "What's happening?" "The crown princess consort will play the gushin. I heard she'll perform Phoenix Seeking the Phoenix." She must be very confident in her skill. I hadn't even said a word, yet suddenly the imperial consort herself, drawn by the commotion, approached with interest and expressed her wish to hear me play. I was pushed into a corner with no way out. Though I had crammed my studies for a few months, it was only superficial. I had no real musical talent. If I played today, I would undoubtedly be exposed, outwardly calm, inwardly anxious. As I stood there, should I pretend to faint? It would be embarrassing, but at least it was a way out. Just as I was about to collapse, a clear voice rang out from beyond the crowd. "Shija!" Everyone turned. Xiao Hanlin parted the crowd and walked toward me. Ha Van Ni looked stunned. "Cousin?" He ignored her. She bit her lip, her eyes reddening slightly. In a few steps, he reached my side, gently patted my shoulder, and addressed the imperial consort. "Your Highness, Shija injured her hand a few days ago in the residence. She cannot play at the moment." The imperial consort frowned. How careless. Xiao Hanlin continued. "But Shija once taught me how to play. If your Highness does not mind, I am willing to perform in her stead." Her expression softened. "That will do." The crowd buzzed with surprise. No one had ever heard Xiao Shizi play before. This was an unexpected delight. A maid brought a cushion. Xiao Hanlin sat down, placing the zither on his lap. I stood not far away, watching him. He sensed my gaze, looked up and smiled faintly, as if to reassure me. My heart skipped. The subtle change unsettled me. I frowned. The music began. The surroundings fell silent like a stream murmuring over stones. From his slender fingers flowed notes like jade chimes, clear and lingering. When the piece ended, the audience slowly came back to their senses, followed by a flood of praise. "Such skill! Does the crown princess consort truly need to teach him?" Xiao Hanlin inclined his head modestly. "I am not even 1,000th as skilled as Shija." A crisis was effortlessly resolved. After exchanging a few words with the imperial consort, he led me away. The banquet lasted until evening. On the way back, Xiao Hanlin closed his eyes to rest. I couldn't help sneaking glances at him. Honestly, if he weren't colluding with the Tufan, I might have thought him a good person. But that line had already been crossed. I forgot to look away and was caught when he suddenly opened his eyes. What is the Crown Princess Consort looking at? After a brief moment of awkwardness, I composed myself. Looking at you. He seemed surprised, then smiled. Am I handsome? No, not handsome. He didn't get angry. What kind of man does the Crown Princess Consort consider handsome? I thought for a moment. Someone righteous, humane, cultivated, and upright. He fell silent. Inside the carriage, the air turned still. Soon we arrived at the Marquis' residence. I withdrew my hand from his and got down on my own. He followed behind, absently rubbing his fingers that had just brushed against mine. So I can be considered handsome as well, he murmured almost inaudibly. 3 days later, deep in the night, an unremarkable carriage quietly left through the back gate. Dressed in black, I followed from a distance, hidden in the shadows. Tonight was when Xiao Hanlin would meet Ba Shitu. The carriage wound through several alleys before stopping at a closed courtyard. The driver knocked, exchanged signals, and entered. I seized the moment to slip beneath the carriage, clinging to its underside. Once inside, I waited until Xiao Hanlin disembarked, then slipped out and concealed myself. Inside the dimly lit room, a single candle flickered. I crouched by the wall and listened. Shizi Xiao, right on time. Ba Shitu. I had fought him on the battlefield. I would never forget his voice. Have you brought the defense maps of the 13 cities in Mobay? My hands trembled. Through a tear in the window paper, I saw Xiao Hanlin place several books before him. Do not forget what you promised me. Rest assured, Ba Shitu laughed. When the Southern Marquis wins victories, he will return in glory. By then, all others will be overshadowed. My scalp prickled. Had the Zhao family gone mad? Selling out the country for merit? Something felt off. I tried to look closer. You seem to have brought a tail, Ba Shitu suddenly said. I turned to flee, but my body went weak. Poisoned? I hadn't noticed anything. The half-burnt candle flickered before my eyes. Ba Shitu opened the window and looked down at me with disdain. Shizi Xiao, is this your crown princess consort? Xiao Hanlin stepped forward, surprise flashing briefly before turning calm. Yes, she is. His gaze fixed on me, voice cold. When did you start following me? I forced myself upright. I just wanted to know what you were doing. Ba Shitu laughed. Women should not interfere in men's affairs. Xiao Hanlin nodded indifferently. She brought this upon herself. My heart ached. So he hadn't changed at all. Take her away, Ba Shitu ordered. As I was dragged off, Xiao Hanlin suddenly spoke. Wait! She is my wife. I will handle her. Ba Shitu laughed. Very well. Xiao Hanlin pulled me back. You brought this on yourself. Don't blame me. He turned back to the negotiation. I was thrown outside, bound and powerless. But no matter what, I had to escape. Later, he stopped the carriage in a bamboo grove and dismissed the driver. He untied me, applied medicine to my wrists, and asked softly, Do you have anything to ask? Plenty. You colluded with the enemy? No. I listed everything I had seen. He met my gaze calmly. Will you listen if I explain? You have 1 incense sticks time. He explained everything, the disguised soldiers, the investigation, the past. Then he told me about a girl from years ago, a girl named Chieo Hoa. Me. He had remembered all along. So it was you. He looked at me intently. You like me, don't you? He smiled. I thought I made that clear. From there, everything unraveled. The maps were real, but part of a larger scheme. We returned, prepared, endured. Then, the news came, my father, missing in battle. The rest unfolded like a storm, the truth about betrayal, the years of searching, the battles, the vengeance, Bashitu's death, and finally, my father alive, yet without memory. When I returned to the capital, Xiao Hanlin was waiting. Will you tell the emperor everything? Yes. I'm tired of hiding. The emperor did not punish me. Instead, he sighed. The daughter of General Tong, truly remarkable. As we left, Xiao Hanlin suddenly knelt. Your Majesty, I request a marriage decree for myself and General Tong. A second marriage, unprecedented. On that day, many attended, except my father, or so I thought. He came anyway, laughing, drinking. You didn't invite me? Unacceptable. I raised my cup. Then I'll make amends. How? Punish me however you like. He grinned. I punish you to live a lifetime of love with Xiao Hanlin. Years later, I guard Mobei. He remains in the capital. Once a year, we meet in the Valley of the Dead, 1 month together. Then we part again, never tired, never regretful. You'd let her go like that? His friend once mocked. If it were me, I'd tie her down. Xiao Hanlin only smiled. That's why you're not me. He looked up at the circling eagle, eyes bright. My wife is an eagle, a lone wolf. She was never meant to be a caged rabbit. As long as we love each other, that is enough.